Alright, engineering graphics, sectional, section views, cross sections and hatching, whatever you want to call them. This is what we're working on right now. So we're going to start and go through a couple things here first. So this first one, we are simply looking at this and trying to figure and match what goes to what and what's correct, what's not correct. So I'm going to show you how to start this and then you're going to finish it. So let's start with one. So I can look at this one and I know that it's incorrect because it has hidden lines. You will typically not be seeing hidden lines, and they especially will not be marking the outline boundary of the area that's being hatched. So if I look through here, I go, aha, well that would be number C because the hidden lines are bounding it. Then I'm going to look at this one and let's go and look and see. And I see hidden lines. Well, you typically don't see hidden lines. They're usually not shown at all. You usually do not deal with them. So you would match it to that one. I would look at this one and go, yeah, okay, we got a problem because I am missing lines that I should be able to see in this view. And so then again, you go through here. So it's a process of elimination of going through it, figuring it out. All right, now the next one is very similar. You're going to look at these and you're going to tell me what's wrong with them. So the first one for the example says the spacing is irregular. The second one, if I look at it, the lines are irregular and they're too dark. So they're both. If I look at this one, the lines are irregular and they don't have the same consistency in the thickness. These are just plain too dark. These are, well, a little too light and they come to the outside of the lines here. So that's part of our problems. So then what you would do is you would come in here and you want to practice actually drawing it and drawing it correctly. For the hatch marks, you want to use a 0.7. You want it to be dark but not too dark, and you want them to be exactly 1/8 of an inch apart. So here's my advice when you get ready to start drawing that. Get your architect's scale out. Put it here. There it goes. And just put a dot where our 1/8 of an inch is. So just mark 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. All I'm doing is marking dots that I'm going to use to help me draw these here in just a second. So they're really light lines. They're just lines for me to draw. Take my 45-degree triangle and line it up. And then I draw my lines. Now obviously I need to continue more because it should come out to here.
Message from the dark side there.
Notice I am not taking it outside the edge. I'm keeping it within. I'm keeping them, oops, uniform. Every 1/8 of an inch I'm drawing it. Same thickness, trying to keep the same consistency. You'll notice I'm spinning my pencil as I go. That helps to keep the consistency of the line. I'm going all the way to the edge, but not outside of the edge. You want to keep it as consistent as you possibly can. Now here's a little trick. See how I stopped and continued it out? They should, the word should, always line up.
Message from the dark side there.
Oops, and I'm missing one here. And I went outside of that box right there, so I need to get my eraser shield here in a second and fix that. And I'm just turning my pencil a little bit as I go. Ooh, that one's not very good. They're not all consistent, so I should probably take my paper down to get it more consistent. And I'm going to stop. I'm not going to do all of them because that would be rather boring to watch, and you can do this. Remember, just take that erasing shield and any parts that go to the outside where they shouldn't, erase it. That's all I'm doing. Like I've got a spot right here that's on the outside that shouldn't. So if you go to the outside, it's okay. Just go back with your erasing shield to fix it. Yeah. Now, we're going to do the hatching for this one, and we have to know what areas are being hatched. You have to be able to know a couple things. You know that when I see these lines coming down, I know that this is a hole that's been drilled out. So these are both holes that are drilled out, and then this is a counterbore, a countersink hole that's been drilled out for like a Phillips, for a screw, etc. So my hatch marks are only going to fit here in this area, here in this area, here in this area, here in this area. So they're going to continue. They're going to be 1/8 of an inch apart, and they're going to go through that area. So the best way to do this is to tape this down to get it nice and straight against your straight edge. Take your 45, and again, I'm not going to do all of it, well, because that defeats the whole purpose of you being able to do this on your own. I'm just going to show you how I would start and work on it. So what I mean by it coming through, it comes through this part here. I bring this over 1/8 of an inch apart. Any parts that I get over, because I have gotten over, you go back and erase. But see how that continued up? See how it continues up? They need to be 1/8 of an inch apart. Continue going up. And they stop when they hit the edge. And so I'm just going to continue. That's not the best of spacing, is it? Because they should be more consistent. And then we just keep going. And so I would continue my cross hatch marks over into this section here, and then to this section here. Any parts that overhang or do not connect, I need to go back and make sure that they connect. And then I need to go back and erase, like I have an area right here where it's overlapped. I need to erase that. So that's what you're going to go through for this one. This one is pretty straightforward. You're going to practice drawing the views. How do I know what the views are? Well, I look at the example that's given, because I'm practicing drawing hatch here. So for this particular one, we're going to use both our 0.7 and our 0.9, because I'm going to show you using the most generic one that you use, which would be your cast. So I'm going to take my 0.9 millimeter. This one's got a plain old counter bore, so it's just a flat area that's been drilled out so that the drill, nail head, etc., whatever, can sit down flush. Keep it lined up so it doesn't move on me. Tape it down, and so it doesn't move on you. Remember, those visible lines are supposed to be dark. That's why I'm going back and making this nice and dark. Any areas that go outside where they shouldn't, like I did right here in that corner, we need to erase it. Then you mark your 1/8 of an inch. Because that's what they should be. They should be 1/8 of an inch. Just marking a whole bunch of them. I can go back and erase them when I get done. Okay, so I've marked all my 1/8 of an inch. 45-degree triangle. Line it up with those 1/8 and draw my lines. If you make those little points, they will help you. And again, I spin my pencil a little bit to try to help keep them as consistent as possibly as I can. Any that go outside, I'm going to go back and erase. You can't really see those in those corners yet, so, but you can see them here. So any that don't touch the edge, you go back and make them touch the edge. Any that go over the edge, erase your shield, clean them up. Like, I know this one is going over the edge. That needs to be cleaned up badly. Right here needs to be cleaned up. And then of course I can come in through here and erase now my little dots that I used as my reference dots. That's the whole point of your eraser shield. It's your friend, so you don't erase things you don't mean to. And make sure it comes all the way to the edge. Make sure you clean it up. Any parts that need it. Okay, so you're going to make yours look as much like this example as you can. I'm only showing on the first one because the rest of them match. You're just finding the bounding area that's cutting through, so you draw that with your 0.9, and then you practice drawing the hatch marks. What's the difference between these two is really just the thickness, darker. So it's a darker lead, so you push down harder. This one, you'll notice there's two of them. So you're going to have a wider one and then two skinnier ones, a wider one, two skinnier ones. Just measure them out. What are they supposed to be? Same thing here. See how the consistency, they're the same thickness and the same thickness of the width, the difference, etc. So those are what we're looking for. These, they're the 1/8 of an inch, boom, done. And you're just going to make it look as much like the example as you possibly can. All right, good luck, you can do this.